Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another conversation here on Style to Impact. If this is your first time joining me, my name is Solita Roberts. I'm your image coach and personal stylist. This is a space that I help you to build your confidence and to find your personal style so that you can increase your influence, impact, and income. Thank you very much for being here. Today's conversation is one that if you're joining me live, I want to thank you very much for coming. If you have any questions, drop those in the comments. If you're watching the replay and from this conversation you have some questions, of course, drop those in the comments and I'll get back to you on those. So here's the thing. The question isn't whether or not you care about fashion. The question is, how much do you care about the message that your fashion choices are communicating about you, right? Because I know that a lot of you are come in contact with so many individuals who are like, oh, I don't care about fashion. You know, it's just another thing that we use to judge people's status and expertise, and we shouldn't do that. And I can agree to some extent. However, because it is part of who we are and we have to get dressed whenever we're going into, in society, unless you're new to this, you have to put on clothes. And as professional women, you want to be able to send the right message based on what you're wearing. You want to have the opportunity to get into rooms, have your voices heard, and being able to make the impact that you need. And of course, expand your influence and your reach. So we have to pay attention to, what is the message that we want to send? And is it in line with what you are wearing? Because there's just some regardless of how you feel about fashion, there's just some things that you may be doing right now, but you don't realize that it's impacting your image. And as a result, people are judging you, judging your expertise on a different level. You're not allowing yourself to really make a mark in the spaces that you're in. So there may be things that you're doing that you maybe don't realize, that's impacting your image. So that's what I want to talk about today, right? Style mistakes that's ruining your image. After all, your image is what people use, or it's your way of communicating who you are, right? Regardless of how you feel about it. When you walk into a room, the first thing that people notice is what you're wearing, your mannerism, your posture, just from the way you carry yourself. Until they get a chance to introduce themselves to you, that's the only thing they're going on until that instance. So there are a few things that you're doing right now that may be sending the wrong message about you and your image. After all, one of the things that I talk about is empowering women through style. This is ensuring that you show up as your strongest, most authentic self in every and all spaces that you're showing. So I'm going to share some slides with you today. I'm doing this presentation is totally different today because I want you to have a visual while I'm also sharing the tips. So I'm going to share with you today one of the first mistakes that you're making that's ruining your image. Okay. The first mistake that you're making that's ruining your image is incorrect fit. Let's expand that. You're wearing the incorrect size of clothing and it's not fitting you well. Now, fit, if you're first time you're tuning into me or you haven't listened to any of my recordings before where I'm talking about style and talking about the impact that it has on style and some of the importance of it, if you haven't followed my content, you will know that fit, I say this all the time, fit is the most important aspect to you. Looking polished, you looking put together. It does not matter what your size is. It does not matter the price tag on the clothing that you're wearing. If your clothes is not fitting you well, it sends the wrong message. Now, let's look at these three images. Let me know if you've ever been guilty of any one of these. I'm sure at some point in your life, you've been guilty of it. I can tell you I've been guilty of it a few times. That's before I knew what were the right and correct way to ensure that my clothes is fitting. Now, on the first image on the left, I remember like driving, like, oh, you didn't want to drive in your heels, so you wore flats, and I wear flats and then go to work. But then there were times when I saw my colleagues coming into work looking like this every single day. Your pants leg, if it's a case where you cannot wear heels, your pants leg, and you're wearing flats, your pants leg should not look like this, right? It should not look like this. At no point in time should your professional attire look like this, because it's not projecting the right image. It is not polished, it's not clean. And then people look at this and they kind of say, wait a minute, can you just get that adjusted? Can you? And you're like, oh, I don't have a seamstress or anything like that. But you can literally get this adjusted at home. There are DIY ways that you can do it. But the most important thing, if you cannot get to a tailor now or seamstress, is to ensure that you're buying the right length of pants. Now, if you're thinking that, okay, I fluctuate between, I wear heels sometimes and I wear flats, again, you do not want this to be the image that you're portraying when you get into professional settings and when you're walking around with your colleagues. You don't want this to be. So your pants legs should be fitting, like they're correct ways to how your pants should fit. And that's something that I discuss with my clients as well when we're going through. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, these are, I had to make it visual, because I think sometimes when we're having these conversations, if we don't see it, we don't believe it, and we don't get that connection. So as I said, these are some things that I discuss with my clients, right? When we're working together, looking at fit. If you're wearing flats, how should your pants, where should they fall? How should it look? And these are some things that we talk about. Your blazer sleeves. I've seen this so many times, especially if you're very petite. I have that problem as well, where I would find a perfectly good blazer. However, the body may fit and the sleeves may be long. So now in order to adjust it, I may go down a size, and I find that the sleeves are perfect, but the body of it is not fitting well. So I know what that problem is. If it's something that you experience where you could never get it to fit your exact body, whether or not it's the sleeve length or the actual fit of the jacket. Always go upper size if you find that the sleeves are perfect, but the body is what's not fitting you well, because it's easier to adjust the sleeves than it is to adjust the rest of your blazer. So if your sleeves are like that, you need to get it tailored. There's no excuse for you to walk around with your blazer like that. If it fits you perfectly, the sleeves are long, but you want to wear it, there are ways that you can wear it so it does not look like that until you can get it tailored. But I highly, highly, highly recommend that you get your clothes tailored to your body. Yes, it does cost a little bit, but the impression, your first impression, your image speaks volume. And the little investment that you would spend on getting that tailored, the return is greater, because you're making a stronger first impression. If you want to know whether or not the length of your blazer sleeve needs adjusted, if it's too long, here's a perfect example. Looking at this photo, it's past his wrist, and it's also going down to your fingers. Your blazer should not fit you like that. A simple way of doing it, it's once you put on your blazer, if you bend your fingers like this, if the end of the blazer goes past your wrist and it's coming into your arm, that's a blazer that's not fitting you well, and you need to get it adjusted to your body type. These are all things that really we don't, whenever we get dressed, we don't really pay attention to, but they send powerful message about our images. The third photo that we're looking at, we've all experienced this. I've experienced it as well, where I put on a button-down shirt and there's just this gaping hole between the buttons. Sometimes, this has nothing to do, very little, I would say, to do with your body size, and more so to do with the fit, right? Because as I said, I'm petite, I'm tiny, but I've experienced it as well. So it has nothing to do with your size. It has to do with the particular garment that you're wearing, the size of it and how it fits. Now, if you find that it's a perfectly fitting shirt, but for some reason or not, there's always that space between there. There's simple things that you can do. I don't recommend pins because those can dig into you. And I mean, who wants to put a pin, right? We've advanced. It's 2021. There are things that we can do. Double-sided tape is your friend, right? Double-sided tape is your friend. Get yourself some double-sided tape, some fashion tape, and you just kind of put it between. It doesn't take much to just do that extra. Take that couple of seconds just to put that double-sided tape to close that gap. Because when you do that, you're sending a better message of yourself, right? You're sending a better message as to who you are as an individual and what's important to you. You're looking polished, you're looking professional, because people are going to judge you based on how you look. And those small details that we often overlook are so, so, so important. So as you think about, putting on your clothing today, tomorrow, you're getting dressed, pay attention to these little things. Look at the way, your trousers are always too long, or blazers too. Yeah, we all experience that every single day. And here's the thing. Here's why you experience that. And this is why when I'm working with my clients, I kind of reinforce, do not think it's your body that's the problem. It is not your body shape, size. That is not the problem. The problem is that these brands have one particular standard that they will cut a blazer for, they will cut a pants for, that they cut these garments for, and they don't put into consideration that we are all, as women, come in different shape, forms, and colors, right? They don't put that into consideration. So you may go, and also, this is another thing, there's no universal sizing across brands. This is why I highly recommend, when you're thinking about building your wardrobe, that you start looking at several brands that's in line with how you want to present yourself, right? That have things that you can identify that will fit into your closet and be able to give you that style type and that style look that you're looking for. So never try to just find one brand. When I started my professional career and I discovered Ann Taylor, that was the biggest thing for me, right? Like everything I wanted professional wear, I went to Ann Taylor for it. But Ann Taylor did not suit me for every single thing, right? Everything didn't work. Some things were bigger, some things were smaller. So you have to start looking at various brands that you can shop. You may end up buying a blazer at Ann Taylor because the blazer is perfectly cut and tailored for you, and your pants, you may end up getting those from another company, right? Because sizing across the brands are not the same. There's no universal sizing across the brands, right? Every brand is different. Every brand is different. So you have to, when it comes to like researching brands that works for you. And this is where doing that style work comes in. Doing the work to discover your personal style comes in. Because if you're saying to yourself, okay, I'm looking for brands to shop, what is the image that you're looking to portray? What is the message that you want to send? What is your personal taste and preference, right? Because based on that, then you start doing research for brands that identify brands that is in alignment with how you want to present yourself. So for instance, there's some things that I consider. One, I'm petite, so of course I need brands that carry petite sizes. I am also where I want to have a lot, in my wardrobe, a lot more colors in my wardrobe. I also want to have clothing with feminine details on it, which is bows, ruffles, frills, anything like that. I love those. But I also want to have a clean look. I want to have a polished look that says that I'm professional, I'm creative. But I also say to you, as your image coach and personal stylist, that what I'm wearing and my style and how I dress is attainable, right? Because sometimes when we look at style influencers and we look at coaches and we look at different personal stylists, like they style is so outside of your scope, right, that you're thinking, oh my gosh, there's no way I can achieve that, right? So I try to make my style as achievable as possible for you, showing you simple ways that you can get dressed. So going back to me selecting my brands, those are the things I've already identified, those specific details about myself. Now, where do I want to go and shop? One of the brands that I love to shop, and I'm going to share that with you, is White House Black Market. I got this top from there. Again, it is petite. I don't have to think about adjusting. I know exactly what I can get from there. The tops always fit me perfectly. There's no adjustment necessary. However, I know if I'm getting bottoms from them, I always have to adjust the waist. So even though it's petite, I always have to adjust the waist. So I don't shop for bottoms at White House Black Market unless it's a skirt, right? Which is easy for me to adjust because I have a sewing machine, so I can adjust that. But you want to consider those things whenever you are thinking about, brands that you want to shop. Defining your personal style and how you want to show up is crucial. It's absolutely crucial. So as I was talking about before, pay attention when we're talking about things that can that can ruin your image and really affect how you present yourself. The first thing is that you're wearing the incorrect size, your clothes is not fitting you, your pants are too long, is dragging on the floor. That does not single or speak well to your level of professionalism. Your sleeves are too long, get them tailored. If you cannot get to a tailor right now, there are ways that you can either fold it or you can just scrunch it up for a moment, but do not walk around with your sleeves like that. It doesn't matter your expertise. It doesn't matter your message. People see first how you present yourself and they form certain opinions of you that way. We've all experienced where our shirts gaping buttonholes. It's been there, but we can fix it. Double-sided tape is your friend, right? So the second style mistake that you're making that can ruin your image, because again, we have to look at the message that we're sending with the clothing that we're wearing, right? Your clothes speaks for you. And you want your style and what you wear to be able to send that powerful message that you wanted to send, right? Because your first impression, and this is where most persons tend to think that it's not your first impression or how that person perceive you is in your control. You are in control of how someone perceives you, right? You are in control of that first impression. You get to decide how you want people to see you, what you want them to think about you, what you want them to get from your presence. Right? At the end of the day, there are other factors that they would consider, but you don't want to leave it solely up to them to determine and to decide who you are, which is why it's important that you go through the whole process of defining your style and understanding how you want to dress and what your message is, and try to stop exercise. Try not to do some of these style mistakes, right? They're basic mistakes that we make every day. They are small details, but they're very important. So I'm going to share with you the second mistake that you're making that's ruining your style. And the second mistake that you're making, and this one here, it's a big one. Like for me, it speaks to where you are as an individual in this time and space, right? And right now, if you are wearing, look at these examples. How many times have you seen someone holding a really prominent position and speaks of their expertise and speaks of, their value and what they can bring and all of that? but their presentation is so outdated. Like, this makes me cringe whenever I see this. It kind of reminded me when I started working in banking 15 plus years ago. It's more than 15 years now. That, this was the wardrobe, right? This was the wardrobe. This is what we wore to work. And honestly speaking, it says nothing about me as a person. Like, there's nothing on this particular look that says, hey, I'm confident, I'm bold, and this is who I am. It is so outdated. And when your look is outdated, again, going back to that first impression, going back to what your image is saying about you, persons tend to think, if we're looking at interviews or we're looking at negotiating contracts and we're looking at all these different things that you want to do, the first thing that they're thinking is, oh my gosh, would you have fresh ideas? Right? Would you have fresh ideas? Because your clothing is saying that you're stuck in a particular time and age. Right? A particular time and age that may not necessarily translate to what this to the space that you're going into and the message. So it's so important that go through your closet right now. If you have anything in your closet or you wear anything that resembles any of these outfits, we need to talk. Like, we need to talk like yesterday. Okay? Like yesterday, because what this signals, as I said, to everyone else, is that your expertise is outdated. But what is also signaling to you, right? Even you may not realize, but you're looking at all, you make all these goals every day and all these things, all the different things that you want to achieve. Take a moment. Take a moment to really reflect and see if you are dressing for that woman that you're becoming. Are you showing up as that woman? Are you saying to yourself, I want to develop my thought leadership. I want to maybe transition from a different industry to the next. I want to get on boards. Like, what are your big goals? What are your big goals? And are you showing up as that person? Outdated looks are like, it's a complete no-no. Again, it does not speak to your level of expertise. It does not speak to where you are. It does not signal that you are someone who's innovative, someone who's going to come with fresh ideas, someone who's going to, and you may be that person. You may have, all the ideas, and you show up this way, and you share you share your expertise. You may be that person. You may very well be that person. But when you're dressing in outdated clothing, it does not send that message to the world. It does not send that message to persons that you're coming in contact with, right? So you want to be mindful of what you're wearing and what time in what time zone is it putting you in? What century is it putting you in, right? And you want to update that. So I want to give you an example as to what does a fresh look on, right? So we had that, a fresh look as to how you can dress in more so of a modern feel and a modern look. You saw the image before this one, which was the outdated looks. Now we're talking about the modern looks. Looks that says I'm fresh, looks that said I'm here, I'm creative, I'm happy about my work, I am here to progress. Look at the difference, right? Let's look at the difference. And modern is not getting dressed in trends. It has nothing to do with that. It just means that you're moving up, your timeline on your dressing and how you show up. If you're a pantsuit person, right, you may be the woman that loves pantsuit. How can we make that fresh? How can we make that look current? How can we say to your audience, you are relevant, that you are in this particular space and time, right? So I want to give you that. Keep that in mind whenever you're thinking about getting dressed. Is your style current and fresh? And again, this has nothing to do with trends. right? It has nothing to do with trends. It just simply means, are you looking like you worked in, for me, like banking, finance 15, 20 years ago? Or are you looking like the individual, the woman who is running a business, who's developing her thought leadership, who is advancing in her career and looking for more career opportunities, right? So you want to pay attention to that. That is the second thing that can really ruin your image, is if you're dressing in outdated pieces, right? The third style mistake that you're making that's ruining your image, again, simple details matters. It is grooming, right? Grooming is one of those things that we take for granted. We do the necessary, but there's some things that we will take for granted. For instance, your hair, the way you wear your hair. Now, this has nothing to do with whether or not you wear your hair natural, whether or not you wear braids, whether or not you uh, clip-ins, extension. This is not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, again, going back to the last slide that I showed about being current and being relevant. It comes down when we talk about hair. Is it in this time? Do you have, if you have a haircut, right? I remember back in the day, there were these, like, I thought about it a few times, but I could not maintain that, where you cut your hair really low and have these like really small curls. I don't think anyone do that right now, right? Number one, because no one has the time to sit down and like curl those little curls. If that's where you're at, you may want to update your hairstyle. So look at how fresh is your hairstyle? How fresh are you looking with your style, with your hair? Is it like a cut from, if you watched Charlie's Angel from, I'm trying to remember, with, I think it's Goldie Hawn, or, oh my gosh, I can't remember, but the original uh, Charlie's Angel. Like, if you're still rocking one of those hairstyles, it may be time for you to update it. Yes, you may have loved it back then, but it's not saying that you're current. It's kind of sending the wrong message about your image. It's kind of sending a wrong message about you. So you may want to update it, update your hair. I know that hair can be a difficult thing to figure out. I've been trying to figure out mine for the longest while. Like, sometimes I get it right, where I put it in a particular style and I'm like, yes, oh yes, Farrar, that's her name. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. So sometimes I think I got my hair done right, and then I take a picture or I get on here and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a particular, if you go on my social media, I think I have it on LinkedIn and I have it on Instagram. There's a picture that I was wearing a green skirt with a green top and like a checkered blazer. Every time I look at that picture, I'm like, what is happening with my hair? Like, the outfit is bomb. My hair just looked 90 degrees to the very wrong side of the track. Like, there was like too much I was trying to do and not sure how to figure it out, instead of just going for something simple and clean. Like, I've discovered this is one of the hairstyles that work for me. I feel confident with it and it sends the right message. So I wear it a lot. Some days I'll get it right. Some days I wouldn't. So that's what you want to do. Identify like one or two hairstyles that are a little bit more current, keeps you fresh in the face, keeps you, excited. And whenever you get dressed, you're looking like, okay, everything is put together and look well, right? So that's one aspect of grooming that you want to pay attention to. The other aspect of grooming that you want to pay attention to is your nails. If you have, like, not only do you need clean nails, but you also need to ensure that if you're wearing like gel polish, or you're wearing, tips or anything like that, and those are some things that you have to go to the salon to get done, and you may not have the time to do it, right? So it will grow out, and then you know what I'm talking about. It looks a little bit off, and every time you're talking to someone or you're going to sign something, you try not to show your nails because you know how it looks. Again, simple details, and that's something that can really not only affect your confidence because now you're trying to hide it, you're trying to put yourself in an awkward position to sign a check or sign that document or not show your fingers on camera because it's not presentable, so you don't feel confident. And if someone sees it, again, it's sending the wrong message. Like, yeah, we know that you need to go and get them done, but at the end of the day, when you're in a professional setting and when you're trying to sell yourself and when you're trying to engage and build relationships, these are some of the things that will speak volume on your behalf and maybe distracting the person from really listening to your message. So here's my recommendation. I am not going to the salons right now. Like, I do my own hair, and I do my nails myself. Is it a hassle to do it? Yeah. I don't I like going to the salon. I like getting my hair done. I like getting my nails done professionally. But right now, I'm not doing that. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I'm presentable. So I got myself, for my hair, I got myself all the tools that I need and then some. And then I got myself a gel polish set. So that, because I want to have pink nails, I want to have, this is my statement piece, and I want to make sure that my nails are always fresh and it's always clean, and I can do this without feeling self-conscious, thinking that, oh my gosh, it's chipping and you'll see that. I got myself on Amazon gel polish set. As part of my self-care, I will take a moment. It can be on Sundays, it can be on Saturdays, whenever I decide, and I will go polish my nails and put it under the dryer and get it done. It may not be professional standard, but it is presentable standard, right? So when it comes to grooming, those are the two things that you want to pay attention to. You want to pay attention to your hair and you want to pay attention to your nails, the way it's kept and the way you're presenting yourself. The other style mistake that you're making that's ruining your image is you are walking around with dirty shoes. If you're guilty of this, I highly recommend you spend, again, small details, minor details can impact and ruin how you show up. Get your shoes clean. There is absolutely no reason you have to walk around with dirty shoes. Sneakers is something I don't get. Like, I remember seeing my sister's Converse, and I'm like, why is this so dirty? She's like, oh, no one washes this. I'm like, but why are you walking around with dirty shoes? It does not speak well of you, right? I mean, she wasn't wearing hers in a professional setting. It was just, like doing errands and stuff like that. But I'm like, still, why is your shoes dirty? For me, I think that came from one, I mean, it's just, for me, it's like, okay, why are you walking around with your shoes dirty? That's just, for me, just kind of like common sense. But I think the thing that really shaped that belief of mine is that your shoe should always be clean. Is I attended an all girls Cartlake school. Presentation was key, and that was one of the things that, I don't know if you know the Caribbean system, or it's also a system in Europe where they talk about Demerit cards, where there were a list of things on this particular card that you cannot violate. And if you did, then you got a demerit for it. And as you accumulate those demerit points, there's certain, if we want to say punishments that you'll get, that you had to do. And on that card is that you could not walk around with your shoes dirty. We used to wear brown shoes to school, and your shoes needed to be clean at all times. I think from that, throughout my life, that's something that I've done. I'm going to work and make sure that my work shoes are clean. I make sure that, I'm presenting. My feet are looking, presentable. No one is looking at me dressed, as we would say in the Caribbean, dressed to the nines, but then you look down on my feet and my shoes is dirty or my shoes is scruffled or anything like that, right? So pay attention to that. It's from head to toe. That is your image, and you have to ensure that you're doing pay attention to these little details to ensure that you're sending the right message with your image. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me today. That is the things that you should be doing or style mistakes that you should try and avoid, because if you're doing them, it's sending the wrong message on your image. If you're joining me late, you're watching the replay, some of the things that I spoke about is where, you are wearing outdated clothing, your outfit does not speak for the time that we're in. It's not current. And again, current is not trendy. Current just means you're up to date. You're no longer in that old-fashioned way of dressing, right? It's more modern, it's more fresh. You're also, wearing clothing that's not fitting you, whether or not it's your pants that's too long, so it's dragging on the floor, or there's spaces, gaps between your buttons. And so, instead of wearing some double-sided tape, your buttonhole is gaping and we can see everything. And of course, when it comes to your grooming, pay attention to your nails. Oh, and a bonus one that I want to talk about as well is, before we go, it's bra straps. Wearing the appropriate bras for your outfit. Let me know if that's a conversation, if I should do a separate video on that, as to what are some of the, what types of bras do you need in your closet to ensure that you are dressed appropriately and you're not having, you're not showing your bra straps with everything that you're wearing. Like that's my biggest pet peeve. My two biggest pet peeves are inappropriate bra and inappropriate underwear. Like that's a no-no for me. That's something else that really ruins your image. Wearing inappropriate undergarment, right? Yes. Okay, awesome. So I'll do a video on that, just going through the appropriate underwear to wear and bra to wear for your, any type of outfit that you're wearing, to ensure that you are not ruining your image based on these little details that you may take for granted, but others are really focused in on, and it's impacting your ability to really create the influence and really create that level of impact that you need within your business or your career. So thank you very much for joining me. Until next time, I will see you guys. Take care. Bye.